Okay. Well, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you may be. It is absolutely, I'm Bev Scott, and the founder and CEO for Introducing Youth to American Infrastructure, Inc., Iyai. And we've been in existence now for about 5 years, and I just cut to the chase. The bottom line is that I know personally, I was blessed, I could say blessed to be in the business of community building for over 45 years, and just really wanting to focus on pipeline development, next generation, who's going to sit at the table, the future is now, and with a very, very heavy emphasis across the infrastructure sectors of focusing on increasing significantly the representation and meaningful inclusion of historically underrepresented groups in our careers and in the work that we do. So that's Iyai in a nutshell, okay? And so our programming is very much around career awareness. I always laugh and tell people there's 16 critical infrastructure sectors, transportation being one of the 4 lifeline sectors. And most people, period, don't know about that. So what would make us think that youth would, okay? And so that's been a lot of what this journey has been, is really what this journey has been all about. We're delighted today for the on National Transportation Day intentionally, and also as part of United Infrastructure Week activities to kick off this final series of our Lunch and Learn, which also launches our critical conversations. And that is APTA Emerging Leaders. Absolutely fabulous. Could not ask for a better lineup to really talk about what is it about this transportation and sustainable mobility careers that brought you to it. What's your story, and what's the magic, okay? And so with that, we couldn't think of a better group than the APTA Emerging Leaders. I'm really excited to say that APTA has been a major sponsor for us from the very beginning over the 5 years. And at this point, I'd like to turn it over to Paul Skatelis, who is here in more than spirit. And then when I come back, I'm going to introduce my sidekick, Isaiah Shahan, who is an Iyai alum, who's out of Chicago, who has been working with us for the better part of now, almost going on 3 years. He's a graduate of the University of Illinois at Chicago. So let's take it away, turn it to APTA, and then we're going to be turning it to Isaiah, who's going to bring on these amazing graduate, okay, emerging leaders. Okay, a word from APTA.
Hello, I'm Paul Skatelis, President and CEO of the American Public Transportation Association, known as APTA. We're a not-for-profit international association of public and private sector organizations which represent an $80 billion industry that directly employs 450,000 people and supports millions of private sector jobs. APTA is the only association in North America that represents all modes of public transportation, and our members are engaged in every aspect of the industry. On behalf of our team at APTA, I bring you warm greetings. We're excited to be a platinum sponsor for Introducing Youth to American Infrastructure, Iyai's 2023 Sustainable Mobility, Career Awareness, and Innovation Challenge. I'm proud to say that most of the 19 participating transportation agencies and 11 local organizers are APTA members, and I thank you for supporting this youth programming. I also want to give a shout out to my dear longtime friend and colleague, Dr. Bev Scott, who is not only the founder of Iyai, but also the passionate and tireless advocate for this workforce initiative. To the young people who are participating, we look forward to hearing your insights and lessons learned to help us be a more attractive employer and community partner, and to communicate the broader impact and benefits of public transportation. We genuinely hope that you will join the transit industry and stay with us as you learn more about our exciting, innovative, well-paying jobs and career opportunities. Again, thank you for your active participation, your candid perspectives, and your innovative ideas.
And we want to say, Paul, thank you very much. And I really want to highlight, because we're going to be asking for your help, okay? As we talk today, one of the areas that we have particular focus on is really our essential frontline employees. We have hundreds, and in some instances, almost approaching 1,000 vacancies, okay, in locations across, really it's across North America. And so part of what we do is there's been a lot of focus and research about it, but not so much from a youth-centered perspective. And so this is a launch of our national critical conversations piece, where management, labor, community, all of us, we need to listen to youth about what is it about these careers, our careers, that are attractive, that they wish they knew more about, that really got them to the table and keeps them there. And the emerging leaders this morning couldn't be better representatives. And then we want to really seriously listen to what young people have to say about those aspects of our careers that are not attractive, okay, and that they think that there really need to be changes in. And then we need to go about the business of what we call not just reimagining, but rewriting normal. Okay, so with that, I will turn it now to Isaiah. We'll go to the emerging leaders, and then get yourselves ready to be some of the first people to complete a survey. Okay, all right. It's Isaiah Shawn, my wonderful sidekick. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dr. Scott. And once again, thank you to APTA and the APTA Emerging Leaders for making this possible. So I'm going to share my screen. The first point, as previously mentioned, this is our esteemed class of the APTA Emerging Leaders. However, before going into all these people's illustrious careers, we want to be transparent with today's run of show and let you guys know some of the things that we will be exploring in terms of these people's stories. The driving point that we want to bring home from all these stories is that these transportation people are sharing the journeys that led them to where they are today. Right? We want to find out how they got hooked into their careers, why they're doing it, how do they arrive at their current position, and ultimately, what advice would you like to share with these young adults about preparing for their career and or looking to get into a similar career? And without further ado, I'm going to do a quick introduction of all four of our speakers. Left to right, top to bottom will be the order of them speaking. Mr. Alroy Gibson is the transportation manager for paratransit at Greater Cleveland Regional Transit Authority. He specializes in operations and is responsible for 2 call centers, the ADA department and customer service. Alroy graduated from Indiana Wesleyan with a bachelor's degree in business management and a master's degree in business administration. Rebekka Bolt is the assistant maintenance director at Champaign Urbana Mass Transit District, also known as MTD. She started at MTD as a maintenance technician and also is responsible for overseeing the day-to-day maintenance shop operation with over 40 employees. Rebekka holds an associate's degree in applied science from Parkland College and a Bachelor of Arts degree from Eastern University. Mr. Roger Johnson is the manager of Zero Emission Fleet Technology for the Regional Transportation Commission of Southern Nevada. He's responsible for managing contracts that operate and maintain the RTC's fixed route and paratransit fleet of over 800 vehicles, and his experience includes over 22 years of maintenance and has been working with public transit since 2011. And last but certainly not least is Ashley Greaves, who is a project consultant with Hatch with a Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering Technology, with a focus in manufacturing processes from Wentworth Institute of Technology in Boston to support wayside asset and project installation planning. Ashley also serves as the diversity and inclusion co-chair for the USA region of Hatch. She is the membership chair for the Boston chapter of COMTO and the membership co-chair for COMTO National. As a friendly reminder, all of our Lunch and Learns are available on our YouTube channel for playback at Iyai Plus. So that's youtube.com/Iyai Plus. And I will say from the beginning, we will be seeking out questions from the chat and we will be sharing them in the latter portion of the program. So if any questions arise throughout any of these people's portions, please drop them in the chat and I will facilitate them to make them happen. Without further ado, I will turn it over first to Alroy, my fellow Midwesterner, my guy. So, just take it away, Alroy. Let us know where this whole transportation journey started, and how did you arrive at your current position?
Sounds good. And I just want to start off by thanking you, Dr. Scott, and for allowing us opportunity to share our stories today. This is very exciting. And one of the things that I'll just dive right into it. I've been in public transportation now at Greater Cleveland Regional Transit Authority for 5.5 years. Prior to starting at RTA, I was in the private sector for 9 years. For me, my transition, it was unplanned. I went through a period of time where I was transitioning from the private sector, looking for another opportunity. So starting at RTA, I came in as an intern, and my first assignment was working with hostlers or vehicle bus cleaners. Through that opportunity, I got a heavy dose of operations, learning the primary roles of what a schedule is, what's pull out, what's pull in, understanding the importance of vehicle maintenance. And just through my curiosity and networking and learning the operations side of things, it allowed me other opportunities. The one thing that I can say, and I'm sure my peers would agree, is in public transit, the door is always open if you keep your options open. So transitioning from an intern, I had an opportunity to learn a business analyst roles, and that was just a natural progression from learning the insights of an intern from vehicle maintenance. And you'll be surprised from any role in public transportation how it can lead to other opportunities. For me, I've had a progression where I started off as an intern to a business analyst. And through that, I became assistant manager of operations. And as my responsibility increased, my desire to help people became stronger and more passionate, because as my responsibility and roles increased, I had a bigger responsibility for employees that reported to me. So that naturally led to my motivation, which is helping people. Helping people as far as their career progression, professional development, as well as just watching them grow and learn the different aspects of their specific tasks. One of the things that provides me fulfillment is seeing people transition from one job to another, as well as just really working in a team. Servant leadership is something that I really pride myself on, and being willing to roll my sleeves up and learn the jobs of the frontline employees, not be a specific expert, but just know the common factors so that I can always relate to the team and be able to understand their feedback. So what's been rewarding in my career is just being able to pay things forward. And just from those opportunities of paying things forward and lifting people up has led me to my current role. I shared that I've been in public transportation for 5.5 years. About 2 or 3 weeks ago now, I'm in a new role and I'm working in recruiting and human resources. One thing about transportation, I've never dictated how my career went. It was just from the opportunities of me putting myself out there, but be willing to have a curiosity to learn, but always being willing to help others, being willing to go the extra mile and not look for the monetary thing first. And that's one of the things that I really share with young individuals that are starting in transportation is that, hey, don't chase the money. Focus on learning the aspects of the job, becoming an expert, building people up, helping others. That stuff will come. And that's been a really rewarding part for me. It's just really having an opportunity to develop people, giving them an opportunity to see things that they didn't even see in themselves, and just giving them that empowerment. So Isaiah, just to piggyback on your initial slide with the 5 questions, I think those are the key competencies that I would say is just having a servant leadership, being able to make sure that, hey, if I'm not on that current career trajectory, who do I need to mentor with or find that can help align me? And thankfully for us, programs and us being selected to APTA has gave us the opportunity to network, find mentors, also be able to have colleagues and across different states and regions in the transportation field that we can rely on for support and encouragement.
Yeah, thank you so much, Alroy. Yeah, that's very, very profound. One of the things that I noticed throughout your story was that, the career path, the career trajectory is not a linear path. I mean, it's a non-linear path. There are ups and downs. You said it before, there were many unplanned transitions. And the biggest quote that I wrote down, the door is always open if you keep your options open. And, having that kind of mobility in the transportation world, I think it opens up a lot of opportunities and it's a lot of excitement too. And, I think it's really, really awesome that you've able to find a passion in your work. You know what I mean? You said it before, it's not about the money, it's about having the ability and the access and the tools to help other people. I'm a huge Spider-Man fan, and what Uncle Ben said was, with great power comes great responsibility. And that was very similar to what you said earlier. The desire to help people became stronger as the responsibility of your work increased and as the expertise of your work increased. And alongside that is motivation, right? You never want to get burnt out from your work. And with the vast options of career mobility and career options there are in your life through transportation, through infrastructure, the possibilities seem endless. So thank you so much, Alroy. That was a very, very powerful story. We first went to a fellow Midwesterner. We're going to go a little bit closer, and we're going to be going to a fellow Illinoisan. So, Miss Rebekka, I saw you were from Urbana, Champaign. I'm from the Chicagoland area. So, the Illinois connection is there. Where did this all start from? How did you arrive at your current position? And ultimately, what's the story that you would like to get out?
Yeah, no, awesome. Thank you so much, Isaiah. So just to kind of start out, I've been in public transit for about 9 years. All 9 years of that has been in the maintenance department. So I started off my career by going to the local community college. I first started out for fire sciences and realized that maybe that wasn't the path I wanted to take. So when choosing a degree, I kind of wanted to choose a degree that could give me a career path, but also teach me some life skills. So that's how I ended up getting my associates in applied sciences for diesel power equipment. And for that program, I had to have an internship. So when I walked through the doors at MTD, I just thought, oh, I'm working on buses. I did not realize how large, the transit family really is until I became an emerging leader. So that's been an amazing experience for me, just for my personal growth and knowledge. So I was an intern for about 6 months, really. And then I got offered a position as a full-time technician. And I was a full-time technician for about 7 years. And then in 2021, I applied for the assistant maintenance director and got promoted. So I've been in this role for about 2 years now. So I would say the reason I kind of ended up here is being a technician, you get to see like the front end of things, but I really wanted to help make things better and a little bit more efficient and stuff. So my motivation to apply for this position was to take the practices we already had and try and spin them in a way to where we could be a little bit more efficient and creative. So the biggest motivation to do great work in my current role is really just the dedication to send out safe and reliable vehicles. A lot of people don't think about that. Alroy mentioned pull in and pull out. I got to tell you, if you're from the operations side, pull out is literally something that you will think about every day that you show up to work. So just being able to think outside of the box creatively, fix problems that people don't think are fixable. That's the biggest motivation for me. I'm a problem solver and I just love the challenge every day. But also really it's the fast moving technology that we get to kind of get up with. Right now we have 2 hydrogen buses and I never thought that I would know anything about a hydrogen vehicle. but here I am just so interested trying to figure out how these things work. So another thing that Isaiah and Dr. Scott wanted us to kind of talk about is what helps us keep that motivation. And I've noticed I'm an individual that I really strive in stressful times. And I've always been motivated for doing things that people think you can't do. And that's really what our maintenance department's about. You have buses that break down, you think you're not going to make pull out, and just the creative minds that I get to work with every single day. We make it every single day. We've never had a day that we weren't able to make it. So just being able to see those creative minds is really what keeps my motivation in my current role. So what makes me super proud, honestly, is my team, the people that I get to work with every day, because being able to be proud of what you do, those buses don't run by themselves. You have a team that's there fixing them and maintaining them. And really, that's what makes me the most proud, is we get to really act like a family and focus on teamwork every day. And that's across the department, all the departments, operations, maintenance, HR, all of these pieces of the puzzle are essential for us to really give the best service that we can for our community. And I would say the reason that somebody would want to work in this department is because it is very rewarding. If you're that type of person that wants to see a problem and be able to solve it, that's the most rewarding job, is to be a maintenance technician. And I really think somebody of that nature could really shine. Overall, I would say the most interesting part of working in a maintenance, like a maintenance field, is to see everybody's strengths and really pull off of that. Because if you're focused on helping everybody else grow, I could just show up and say, hey, my team's got this, and I help them get there. And that's my most favorite part of the job, is helping everybody else develop, because there's so much talent in this industry that you really have to help them shine to make the industry shine. So I'll stop talking there, but I'm really thankful for this opportunity. So thank you both.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Rebekka. A similar theme that I've heard from you and Alroy so far is that, the work is rewarding. You know what I mean? And that's one of the biggest points when it comes to finding a career in your life, finding like that purpose, finding that drive, you know what I mean? And I think it's really awesome that your skill set as a creative, think outside the box, free thinking person is able to apply like your own skills and somehow still make it work. You know what I mean? Oftentimes, it's not easy for your skill set to just be a one-to-one translation into the work that you're doing. Yet, in a way, you are able to take your own skill set and provide it to the synergy of the team that you're in. You know what I mean? These careers, they're not cookie cutter jobs. You know what I mean? All archetypes are needed. People of all backgrounds, of all skill sets are needed. And I think that's a perfect story that you showed, that you love the challenge. You want to be a problem solver, but at the same time, you love to think creatively. And like I said before, outside of the box to make things as efficient as possible. And, I could resonate with that personally, because, I consider myself like a creative, out of the box thinker too. So, it gives me hope. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not too deep into the transportation industry, but seeing that someone very similar to me has able to find success in these careers, as a fellow young person, I would just like to say thank you. Great story. We're going to be turning it over to Mr. Roger Johnson now of the RTC. Mr. Johnson, like you said before, you've been in the game for 22 years, but you're still a youthful soul. You still have a fresh face, and there's still so much more left in the transportation career and the life left to live. So I'll let you tell your own story. Where did this all start?
Thanks, Isaiah. Yeah, and so I'm very similar roles as Rebekka, and I'll try and point out some of the differences and some of the differences starting at a younger age. Probably, it's a story that I like to tell now in retrospect, looking back at it, because it was really pivotal in how I got started in the maintenance related field. Although it was kind of embarrassing at the time. It started in high school. I was 16 years old, and I got this hand-me-down truck, and my parents told me treat it easy, gently. It's not a hot rod. And so one morning I'm late for school, and I get up and I jump in it, and throttle down without even letting it warm up. And by the time I made it to the school, I had people honking at me and pointing at me and yelling. And I looked behind me, and billowing out of my tailpipe was smoke unimaginable. It was blocking the whole road. It started drifting over the football field like a really haze, a foggy morning. And so I had blown my engine, and it was just smoking out of the tailpipe. So at a young age, I had to rebuild the engine of my truck. And that kind of is when I fell in love with maintenance. So through some auto shop in high school, through a trade school after high school in Wyoming, I went to automotive school. And that led me into the private industry, working for Jeep and Chrysler. I worked at that shop for a number of years as an entry-level technician, turning wrenches. And then I moved into a supervisory position where I managed the shop of about 15 technicians. Working as a flat rate technician at my particular shop got to a point where business started slowing down. And so I started looking for some different work. That's when I found the RTC. They had a fleet inspector position open. And so I got my foot in the door inspecting buses, kind of getting familiar with heavy duty transit buses, working in the maintenance shop, performing inspections and audits. And then I found some opportunities to really improve our preventative maintenance program, similar to what Rebekka's done, develop some quality control programs. And through all that time, I was kind of making relationships and developing relationships with the bus technicians. And they would share their thoughts on, improvements that could be made to better the buses and better the maintenance program. So I would take that information back and go to our management teams, and we would have discussions with the bus vendors and the manufacturers to see what kind of improvements we could make. And so over some time, our fleet department started growing, and we had some additional inspectors on board. So I started supervising them. And then my role kind of transitioned into, them giving me that feedback and me building bus specifications, which is basically writing out how you want the bus to be built. And so as I continue that journey, really focused right now on zero emission vehicles, with feedback from the agency and peers across the nation on what's been working well in zero emission vehicles. Testing new products is a big piece of what I do right now. New systems that are kind of on the horizon that might support automation, artificial intelligence pieces that are on the buses, and trying to develop the maintenance and training programs that also will help support the infrastructure to support the operations of the vehicles is a big key piece of what I'm doing. So that's primarily my story of where I started and what I'm doing currently. The motivation I have is probably getting to use the interest of maintenance. That's my passion, and being able to use that to make a positive impact in the community that I live in is really cool. Public transportation is definitely an essential piece of the community. And the more that I can do to improve the air quality in Southern Nevada, the better, because nobody really wants to be choking on the carbon dioxide coming out of that tailpipe on the football field, right? So when I'm tested with adversity, I think it's helpful to recognize that the feeling of success after the adversity. I know it can be frustrating. It's time consuming working through adversity, and sometimes it can feel like a failure, but after you learn that the failure really is just a learning opportunity, and you continue to push through those hurdles and the resistance, it's very rewarding to see the success on the other side. For example, right now, just the workforce is a hurdle, and that's some adversity we're having to work through, right? As we try and develop internships and partnerships with local institutions, trying to find enticing technologies that we can use to attract a new workforce. Like right now, we're looking at some virtual goggles that you can use to help diagnose your buses, right? It's called a HoloLens, and that's something that could be enticing with, I know some newer generations are very technology driven. So putting on a set of goggles and linking into somebody across the states that's giving you pointers virtually is a pretty cool technology that we're going to start piloting. So what makes me proud to do the work that I do? Why do I do that work? I enjoy seeing a city bus driving down the street and knowing that the work I do is kind of contributing to a safe and cleaner transportation system, increasing our air quality in Southern Nevada and our sustainability efforts. I remember years ago, you could be walking down the street and a a diesel bus would be driving by and it would just be billowing smoke and it's rattling, loud, noisy. And now when you're walking down the street to see a near zero bus or a zero emission bus that is quiet and emitting no emissions drive by is a much more pleasant experience. So that's very rewarding for me.
Mhm.
And so if you enjoy solving problems by research, testing new products, trying to find cutting edge technologies that you can implement into your transit systems to improve the communities that you live in, I think that that kind of line of work interests you, then you'd be something similar to mine.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mr. Roger Johnson. Before we pass it over to Ashley, I just wanted to ask a quick question. When you first got your car back when you were 16 years old, did you ever think that you would end up going into the career that you did today?
No, in fact, I like to tell people that before I started working in transit, I didn't really even know that transit existed. I didn't really recognize that buses were a big thing. I remember at a young age actually hopping on a bus with my grandfather at one point, but that was the last time I remember even thinking about a bus. And now that I'm working in the transit industry, that's all I see when I drive around town is city buses. It's just funny the recognition that you get. So.
Right. Yeah. Thank you so much. Because, when you first told that story, I thought, man, just that truck from a very young age, that was kind of like a symbol that indirectly exposed you to the future. You know what I mean? I always believe that everything happens for a reason. So, shout out to your parents for getting you that truck because, look where you are today.
Yeah.
Look where you are today. Thank you so much. And, last but certainly not least, we have Miss Ashley Greaves. I saw your bio and, you have a very illustrious background. I can tell there's a lot to share here. So, I'm not going to start off with any initial questions. I'll just let you take it away.
Okay, thank you, Isaiah. Just to start with a little bit of my background, I always try to figure out where I got the engineer bug from in my childhood, only to realize I've been a mad scientist since day one and just trying to find different ways to bottle all that energy into something productive is basically how I came into my career. When I first started studying in Boston at Wentworth Institute of Technology, my first internship, because in order to graduate, you needed to complete 2 co-ops, were with the MBTA and the Railroad Operations Group. So I got to see these huge locomotives, I'm in the yard and they're towering over me, and just seeing these people buzz around them and just trying to understand the technology was extremely fascinating to me, especially when I understood that these trains go out every day, similar to what Rebekka is talking about, every day to get people on their commutes. So understanding the fundamental role that everyone played in getting these trains out every day was eye-opening into understanding how important transportation is. It's a connector to medicine, to careers, to opportunities. So that's why we have to continue to support the mobility industry at large. And I arrived at my current position because I was working on some projects in that very train yard with some consultants. And when I graduated, they remembered me, they remembered the work I did, and they wanted to hire me. And I've been working for that company ever since. So even when you're in that intern stage, don't think that the work that you're doing is small, because people are watching you and they want to pull you into these amazing careers. So just something to think about. I mean, it's not a broken down truck, but that's what I got. What is my motivation to do this work? So right now I'm working a lot doing plant-based stuff, and that's not like plant-based diets, like steel plants, lithium, like battery plants, and that's power plants. Those are a lot of the things that I help support clients with. And I really just wanted to pursue an opportunity to brush up on my mechanical engineering, background. I wanted to make sure that I could be as sharp as I could to pursue certain managerial roles in the future. So I'm in an investment period in terms of that. But what motivates me is definitely the nature of the work itself. There are so many times where I'm put in a situation where I don't know anything at all about the technology I'm working with, and I have to brush up and get smart on it in order to help support a client. So that's always a good feeling. It's always really interesting and dynamic to learn about different things. So that definitely keeps me motivated and interested. especially when understanding when I'm in a steel plant that if you live in any major metropolitan area, or even if you don't, a lot of the cities these days, the skylines are filled with cranes. And none of that happens unless we're able to support these power plants and these steel plants so that these projects can be built and so that these materials can be transferred just to keep things going. So that's always something in the back of my mind, like, okay, to the client, this is just a furnace, but maybe to Boston, this is a new school, you know, like you have to think down the line about what the work you're doing is really creating. And what keeps me going through adversity after I have my small little breakdown that things are hard and I have to figure out all these problems, is knowing that I have a great team, knowing that as an engineer, you're never doing anything alone. There's a lot of checks and balances within the process that help you grow and learn. But also it's because if I had a career that was super monotonous, I would lose interest. Like without all these issues and problems that help me to continue to grow and continue to learn, I think I would be rather bored. I have to say, like, that's just my personality. I would get bored. So it really does help to satisfy that aspect of my brain and keep me learning, keep me sharp in a way that I find extremely interesting. And what makes me proud is to have the career that I have is ironically, I think a double-edged sword because it also is a source of shame. I am very proud to be a Black female engineer, that I'm glad that I worked hard to be able to get here and be able to, you know, exist in the space that I do. But at the same time, it's not my pride to step into a room and sometimes be the only person of color or the only female at the table, at the engineering table. So that's kind of what motivates my background to be able to do the things that I do. And I'm proud to be a symbol of something that's possible, but I don't want it to stop at me being the one person at the table. If I can't bust open that door, then I feel like I didn't do my time in this role justice. So that's why I love to invest in projects like, in platforms like this, and like Compto and like APTA, that help support the future and investing in a diverse workforce. So that's something that really, really, you know, keeps me motivated as well. So I'm proud of that, but I know that as an industry, we can do a lot better. And finally, to understand why someone would want to do what I do is pretty simple. If you look around, because just the nature of the news and things like that, and you feel as though you have absolutely no control of what's happening in the world, it's all very overwhelming. If you feel like you have no control of your environment, your community, your politics, local plans, and you want to change that, baby, become an engineer. I'm telling you, it will help you understand the larger process. Just understanding that our clients make projects that serve people. And that is the bottom line of the industry. We make products that serve people. And when you serve those people, you're serving the mayor, you're serving the school, you're serving your local park. And it really helps to feed into the local environment that you participate in. You're a positive catalyst for change. And I think that's something that as an engineer makes me really proud. And it definitely would be something to help someone feel as though they're a part of positive change in the world. So I guess that's my anecdote.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ashley. You know, the quote that I like instilled in my head was that, you know, the positive catalyst, you know, being able to, like you said, make products that serve people, you know, being able to objectively, positively contribute to society. That's not always something that you get to experience in careers. And I could tell, obviously, just hearing from you four very shortly, you guys carry your work with a lot of passion, with a lot of drive, a lot of motivation, which inspires me a lot. And thank you. Like Ashley said before, these careers are connectors to medicine, society, the public health. It's way deeper than just getting from one location to another on a bus. You know what I mean? It directly and indirectly impacts a lot of assets of life. I really appreciated one of the parts that you said was that as an intern, don't think that the work you're doing is small, because as we heard from Alroy and from so many other people, it is a non-linear career trajectory. Even if you feel like your work is meaningless, different doors will always be open as long as you keep your options open. And I really think it's awesome that as an engineer, the drive never stops. Like you said, things never get boring for you, and like even when things do get overwhelming, you have a team to support you. It's really, really powerful just understanding the synergy and knowing that not only are you not alone in the transportation and infrastructure sector, but you're also not alone as a human. You know what I mean? People are always here to support you. There will always be mentors. There will always be your friends and family that'll help to guide you. And, with the program like the APTA Emerging Leaders, being able to have like those beacons of sorts.
Isaiah, did you freeze?
The Q&A section now. Dr. Scott, I don't know if you wanted to say anything real quickly before we go into the Q&A section. Like I said before, thank you to everyone who has sent in questions previously in the chat. I'll be monitoring it and going through any of the questions, and I will have them all asked given the time availability. So thank you so
No,
much.
you all just go take it away. The only reason I was getting ready to come up was for a moment you froze. Okay, you know what I'm saying? But
All right.
I leave it, as they say, pass the mic. I'm passing the mic back. And as I know there are some questions that have come up in the chat. And as you are each talking, if there's anything that you didn't get a chance to really share that you say, this is what please feel free to, to take the mic. So back to you.
Awesome. The first question that I saw in the chat was from Heather Snow. I believe this is going to be towards Rebekka Bolt. Heather said, I'd love to learn more about your hydrogen buses. That is amazing. So, if you could expand on that, that would be awesome.
Yeah, sure. So currently we only have the 2 hydrogen buses. They're both 60-foot buses. And that's unique because we have the only 2 60-foot hydrogen fuel cell buses that are actually in revenue service. So with any new project, you're going to have some speed bumps, I guess, a little bit. But our biggest thing is our managing director, Carl Gannat, really wanted to take this project and go above and beyond, because our hydrogen is produced at our location and it's 100% green. We use a solar array to power our hydrogen station. And so from start to finish, 100% zero emissions. And so that's really exciting. And on my end, I get tasked with making sure everything works, which seems stressful, and it is on certain days. But kind of like what Ashley says, like you walk into a room, you're like, I don't know anything. I don't know what I'm doing here. Do I belong here? But then you start doing that research and you're forced to learn more and more. So it's exciting, but also it's really great for your personal growth. I'm sure Ashley would agree with that. As soon as you get to the opportunity to learn about something that nobody else knows, that puts you in that room, that puts you at that table. And these hydrogen buses have given me the opportunity to kind of be in that room. So it's very exciting. I would love to share more, but we would be on this call all day.
Well, I tell you one little observation I will make. I always laugh with people because, we range in size and this and that. But the thing that is so wonderful is that there is innovation and creativity that takes place across this industry. I used to laugh and tell people, I don't care if you run in 10, 150 or 10,000. Everybody puts their pants and their skirt on the same way, okay? And has the same, and so it's amazing the subject matter expertise and the precision, okay, that you can put in. So I find it, so that's just another thing as you think about these trajectories, and I've worked at 9. When you look at these trajectories in terms of they're not linear, think about the content. I used to always say the money will usually and all the titles and stuff will catch up with you, but think about the content and and do as much as you can to make your decisions around that. Okay. And I found that it'll always serve you. It'll always serve you well. So no, this is great. Okay. Keep going. I'm going back on pause. Okay.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you so much. This is one of the questions that we received from John Feldman via Nice Bus. You guys might be able to see in the chat. Great stories, everyone. Can you talk a little about the importance of mentors? is there someone you call when you have a challenge at work? And how did you find that person? So, this is a question for everyone. So I think we'll go in the speaker order. We'll go from Alroy to Rebekka to Roger to Ashley.
I would say for me, a mentor is someone that is in alignment to where I see myself in the future, and someone that can challenge me to continue to want to be a better person. And also having a mentor is our responsibility to make sure we give back. So I feel like for me personally, I've always been focused on what's the next thing that I can do to improve myself with my personal and professional development. So I'll share a quick story just for the sake of time. Professionally, I take pride in new employees and seeing that potential and just guiding them and challenging them and teaching them how to be a professional. Personally, in my personal life, I found a really great mentor that maybe I've been doing it for 15 years now, but 15 years ago, I found a gentleman that's really dedicated to serving women's and men's shelters. And that's something that I started volunteering to do. And fast forward 15 years later, and now I'm doing it now, and my son is doing it with me. So I think it's just really giving back, understanding that it's not about you or me, it's about giving back to the others. And I feel for me, that's one of the things that tie into my reason why for public transportation is serving the community, helping others, and just having a mission statement that aligns with my personal growth and my personal career.
Yeah, thank you so much, Alroy. Rebekka, if you could share a little bit about the importance of mentors to you.
Sure. Yeah. First off, that was a great story, Alroy. Thanks for sharing. I will say I kind of started not realizing the importance of a mentor. I would say I was actually kind of against it because I always thought if I couldn't figure it out myself, like that's kind of the whole point. You're supposed to challenge yourself and figure it out yourself. That is not true. I don't recommend doing that. So I would say my mentorship kind of started when I was an intern. I had the oldest mechanic and I was the youngest mechanic, and we were best friends. So he trained me up to where I needed to be. And I mean, it didn't matter what it was. It was mechanical issues, understanding how the company worked. This individual trained me up. And during our first meeting, when we were just kind of going over what we were going to talk about, I shared a story. When I first started working on buses, I was like, okay, we're fixing them. That's it. I didn't understand the importance of it. And this gentleman told me, I was standing on a bus seat trying to fix something inside the bus. And he told me, he's like, what are you doing? Get down. And I didn't understand why he said that. And he said, you just put your dirty boot on that seat. Your grandmother's going to be sitting in that seat going to Sunday service. What are you doing? And ever since then, I realized the importance and the pride that we should take in our work. And I would say, especially with this APTA Emerging Leadership Program, I mean, just Roger, I've reached out to other classmates, and I look at them as mentors as well, because they're all so successful. And you can reach out to them and say, oh my gosh, my head's about to, explode. What do you think? And so I think mentors could really be anybody you look up to, you inspire to be. So I've appreciated all the networking we've gotten to do with this program.
Very profound. Thank you. Yeah, like mentors come in all shapes and sizes, like well said. Roger, if you could share a little bit about your mentor experience.
Yeah, that's a great. I love that story, Rebekka, with the dirty boot on the chair. That's a good one to share. My experience with mentors is, so I guess I've always had a mentor to some degree. I've worked with people in the past that I've just kind of looked up to, which is ultimately the description you would consider as a mentor, somebody that can kind of guide you, give you direction, give you feedback. But I don't think it was until I actually started this program with APTA that I got structure to the mentoring process. And so that was really unique. And it was really helpful to understand that there's some advantages to having you know, not just somebody within your agency that you can go to as a mentor, but somebody not included in your agency. And so that was new to me, to have somebody just in the industry in general that you can reach out to have a discussion with, that is, you know, a little bit further removed. And even more important than that, I think sometimes, is having somebody that isn't familiar with your industry at all, just to give you kind of fresh perspective is really helpful sometimes. So that's been my experience with mentors. And I really do appreciate the structure that APTA has given to it, because I think it was important to understand the need to really kind of sometimes schedule some time with a mentor, just to put something on an agenda to get some constant feedback and coaching that you might need.
Right, right.
Right. Thank you so much, Roger. Last but certainly not least, Miss Ashley, if you could share a little bit about your experience with mentors.
I have to agree with Rebekka. I was definitely someone who went and was like, I don't need a mentor. I can do this all by myself. And then I start stumbling and I'm like, please God, somebody help me. Looking back, I had mentors and I didn't realize that they were mentors until retrospect. Bev, I don't know if you remember Chris Packer in Boston, who worked with LTK. He was the person who hired me, and he was a huge mentor for me all throughout my start as an engineer. And he would ask me these poignant, tough questions all the time. And I would constantly get them wrong. And I'd be like, okay, I get it. I'm an idiot. You were trying to teach me something. But that wasn't, his point at all. He wanted to constantly keep me sharp. So I could have been the smartest engineer in the room, and he would still ask me a question to make me grow. And that was just his leadership style. And he would do that to everyone, not just to me. It was about making sure that we had quality products for our clients. And I didn't realize until, I left that, wow, this person was a huge mentor to me. Like, how can I ever thank them? And I agree with Roger. I'm so grateful for the APTA Emerging Leaders program, that I've been able to have more structure around being in a mentor-mentee relationship, because it is a symbiotic relationship. There, a lot of folks want, mentors to give them information, to give them advice, to give and give and give, but really you need to show up. You need to be present. You need to listen to their advice. Otherwise, the relationship cannot work and prosper. And so currently, I'm also very happy to have April Rye, who is the CEO of Compto, as one of my mentors, and someone who pushes me to do things that I don't think is possible, especially when you're coming up in any industry. Imposter syndrome is just par for the course. You're going to be in situations where you don't think you can do it, but sometimes, and a lot of the times, it takes someone else to see in you what you can't see in yourself. So that's why mentors are very, very important, at least to me.
Awesome. Thank you so much. It's kind of interesting that you brought up imposter syndrome and feeling like you don't belong. We only have about 7 minutes left. However, the amazing Jill Stober asked a great question, which I think we can use to take us on home. Rebekka and Ashley already spoke a bit, but can you share any other recommendations or advice for young people when they find themselves in a situation where they feel less confident and are wondering what they are doing here or what they're doing there? If anyone feels very strongly to this, I don't want to put any order in speaking, so whoever feels most powerful to this.
I would say just push through it. Just a quick story, Rebekka and I had the opportunity to do a capstone on microtransit. Neither one of us, I don't think, was experts in microtransit and didn't know where to start. But just really having a mentor to encourage us, but also as a team, just understanding that, hey, we got to start from plan A and just brainstorming. Even in my experience at working in the private sector, I started off as a communications specialist, and my job was to talk to customers on the phone, and someone was calling upset about their bill, and I didn't know how to de-escalate at that time. And I was scared, but just really pushing through. And even starting in a public transportation agency, not understanding, similar to what Rebekka stated, hey, what does this acronym mean? Or what is a pull in or pull out? And what is predictive maintenance? All of these specific terms, but just really coming back the next day and showing up.
Yeah.
Just understanding that it's a part of the process and not getting discouraged.
Right.
I'd like to chime in and say also that it's a really great question to be posing, because I think one of the key things that you can do is just have awareness of it. And through another thing that we learned through this APTA's Emerging Leader program is how common it actually is. That you're probably not the only one feeling that way at some point or another. And
Right.
so giving it that recognition, even to this point, we heard from CEOs and general managers that felt the same way to this day. And so there's always a point where somebody's going to feel like that. But, just like Alroy mentions, just push through it, ask the questions, do the learning, and just spread that word that it's not so uncommon and that it's okay to not know everything all at once.
Right.
I would just
And
add.
go ahead, Rebekka. You go
Just
ahead. Go
to
on,
add
Rebekka.
real quick, Roger mentioned a couple good things, but I think that what goes along with that is you have to realize most people want you to succeed. And I don't think that's where our brains go. I think we're sitting here thinking they want to see me fail. They want to see me mess up. They want to see me stutter, whatever the case. That's not the case. And you have to remind yourself of that.
Yeah. And then the other thing that it does too, I always laugh and tell people there are no God juniors, okay, and I'm saying, and so there is no expectation that you are going to know everything, okay, and not being afraid, and I think somebody said up here, the insight of, your team, hire and present, once you have that thing to never be afraid, hire to your weakness, not your strength. Okay, you know what I'm saying? And so that all that you've been talking about in terms of the team and all of that goes into it is now you want to be able to cover the ground you stand on, but that is not in any way that, and in fact, think about it. The best professional development that somebody can have is to be able to own the script and have the opportunity to be able to present what they are doing too. So anyway, this has just been wonderful. And I can't, I just get excited. So I don't want to run off too much. You guys, you just have really knocked it out of the ballpark. Okay.
And just
Ashley,
to
do you want to
add-
take it home?
Yeah,
Well,
sure.
I want to that's right, Ashley, take it home.
Okay. Just to show that period of not knowing anything is part of a cycle. You will always be in the cycle of, I don't know what I'm doing. I have to research. I have to ask for help. So you have to become comfortable with that feeling over time, because it's definitely not going away. It's part of the journey of continually learning something new, trying something new. Technology is not stopping anytime soon. Anything, it seems like it's getting faster. So we have to get comfortable with not knowing and sharing that with folks. Because if we're pretending that we know what we're doing, that is only doing a disservice to us and our team. That not knowing is really just something that we have to get comfortable with. It's a part of life, not just in your career, but in your personal relationships, in your goals, and in every aspect of life. So it's okay to feel that way. It's just part of the journey. So that's just how I'll close it out.
Yes. You're wonderful. So take us to that last slide. And here's I cannot thank you enough. All of the participants, the APTA Emerging Leaders, you've just been wonderful. And the questions have just been so rich. So we need your help. And this is going back to this whole thing. We as an industry have a challenge. And the fact is that we have got to try to get this solved in terms of our essential frontline positions, okay? And so what we're doing, we're having, and like I said, taking this from a youth-centered, a young adult-centered perspective, there's been a lot out there, but taking it, and so we really, really need your help, okay? We're doing focus groups at different locations, couple of hour focus groups. We've got everybody's at the table, amalgamated, because we've got to listen. Okay, we have got to listen to, well, what is it? What are the challenges that we're facing, and what can we do differently? Okay. and do differently and do more of that would really motivate and inspire people to really want. These are wonderful, wonderful positions. And so anyway, there's a QR code here that will take you to a survey. Okay.
I also
And we're
put the link in the chat as well.
wonderful. And this survey, we know it's not going to be statistically generalizable. Okay. And I'm saying, but we're really trying to get, but all the input that we can receive, and you don't just have to be a young adult in order to respond. Okay, we are interested in all of the input, but we're particularly interested in hearing from younger, from youth and from young adults. And so if you will also share with your networks, share very liberally. And if you have an interest in having a focus group, 1.5 to 2 hours, at your local area, please contact us, and that's at www.aya.org. So you have been wonderful, and then it's our intention to get all the results back, and then let's see what the common areas are across them. Okay, and then that actually is going to be what's going to be our innovation challenge for our next program. So once again, thank you so much. What can I say? I think you've said it all. I said, wonderful. Thank you. And thank you to everyone. You know, you'll be able to go on Zoom and be able to pull this down. And once again, we are most appreciative to each of you. Thank you. And our audience, bye-bye.
Awesome.
It's 11:01.
Thank you, everyone.
All right.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Take care.
Have a good
Thank you
weekend.
so much. Thank you.